Alex, bringing you a new episode of Gravity Blues, the podcast where myself and my co-host Ron explore our Earth and space-related concerns and interests. This past weekend, we had the NBA All-Star, festivities. The first day, I think it was like Friday, they did, the skills competition, and or I think that was actually Saturday. They did the skills competition, the dunk contest, 3-point contest, and then some other things kind of in between. And then Sunday they did the actual game, which they tweaked the format this year. Again, they've been tweaking the format the last, I think, 5 years. And then they also do like a celebrity game too, I think on Friday, but no one really cares about that, honestly. And I guess just to give you some insight on how the All-Star weekends have been going the past few years. I didn't even watch it this year. And I love NBA basketball. Basketball is my favorite sport. And I remember in high school, and college, would religiously watch the NBA All-Star weekend, every single competition they did, no matter who was in it. And it's got to the point now where you've got players like LeBron James who just, he got elected to go to the All-Star game, but he like 2 hours before the game was just like, yeah, I'm not playing tonight because, and we don't really know the reason yet, but I think it's because the format was really stupid. And, usually it was like in the past, it was like you had the Eastern Conference All-Stars versus the Western Conference All-Stars. And and I will say over time that format was it kind of got to the point where no one was playing defense and people were just going for like the scoring records, and you'd get it up to like almost like 200 points at the end. Each team would almost have like 200 points. It was ridiculous, but it still was kind of entertaining. And they started to introduce some more kind of rules and to try and like make it more competitive, which kind of worked a little bit. But this past year they changed it up entirely. Instead of having an Eastern and Western Conference, or I think even actually the past few years it wasn't even Eastern versus Western Conference. It was just two teams picked by, whatever captain. So you kind of got a mix of players, which was kind of entertaining. But this year it was 3 teams, and it was like kind of a semifinal or it was 3 All-Star teams, and then there was the Rising Stars team, which is like the first and second year players. And then, whoever won the semifinals made it to the finals, and I don't know. I didn't really care for it, honestly. Or I didn't care for the idea. And like I said, LeBron didn't even play. And this might be, I don't know if it's going to be his last All-Star game because we don't know if he's going to play another year. I think he will, but for him to to not even like walk out there, it kind of shows you like what he thought of it. So yeah. I don't know. It's very sad, and I don't know. I think maybe they go back to the old format. Maybe they keep trying new things. It's just it kind of gets worse every year.
So to my knowledge, like all of the main sports, including soccer, in the U.S., have an All-Star game, but they don't do it to my knowledge anywhere else, or like they don't do it in the Prem, they don't do it in Spain. So it is weird to see that like that, but then at the same time, and you're complaining about how like it's not that very fun to watch. None of them are really fun to watch. They're all kind of like, nobody tries that much. Like I watched a little bit of the NFL's like flag football game.
Oh yeah, it's bad. That might be worse, honestly. That might be worse. But I think it's more for, at least for the, I guess I don't know about the other All-Star games, but at least with these, like you would watch it from like even 10 years ago, and it would be fairly competitive, and you keep going back in time like 20, 30 years, and it looks like players are playing like a playoff game. And now you don't really get that because people are going to be a little bit smarter with their bodies, and they still have about 30-ish games to go. for the rest of the season. So they're not really near the end of the season, and they're not near the beginning. So their bodies, yeah. So and then they also have this in season tournament now, so it's even more stress added. So yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I think they might just get rid of the game entirely and just do like a bunch of different competitions because those are at least kind of entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, the skills competition is fun. I watch the NHL one every year, and they do like the skills. The NFL and the MLS do try to do skills, but it's just like hit the targets as they move, and it's like this sucks, or like
Yeah.
all of the NFL's like games were terrible this year, and like we're not very fun. But but I will say the one thing the NBA has is the dunk contest. Like that's like famously the most fun thing to watch. And it's the
Right.
NHL has like the breakaway challenge, which is what I think the NBA should do. I don't know if they do this already. The NHL sets the breakaway contest. You have like somebody that's not a professional goalie in goal. Okay, so they're not stopping anything. That's not the point. And then what they do is they make like a funny thing happen. Like the dudes will come out in like a costume or something, and it'll be like a whole little. But then they score at the end, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like the most stylish breakaway, right? Wins the contest,
Right.
Right,
and
Right.
right.
that's what the NBA should lean into, like doing fun stuff. Like obviously that's not for like the 40-year-old guy that wants to go watch the sport, but that's also not the point of All Stars. It's to show off
Mm-hmm.
your stars as like people and like characters, right? So I think lean into that side of things. I don't know.
Well, so you mentioned the dunk competition, and that's the one that that's probably the most notorious festivity they do every year. They don't like it, and it's mostly because it's or at least the past few years. So I think it's the last three winners. It's been the same dude that's won it, Mac McClung. He does not play for he plays on the G League, like he doesn't play on an NBA team. So no, but they can't get that's the thing, they can't get anyone else to participate in the dunk competition because like I said, it's like the same thing with the game. People are scared they're gonna like tear their ACL or whatever, doing these like crazy dunks. And the crazy thing is, the Cavs game like a few weeks ago, they did at halftime they did a dunk competition with not even NBA players. This was just like people from the area, like signed up, and they were good enough to do this. And it was honestly almost better than the dunk competition they did at the All-Star game. It's it almost all these competitions are getting to a point where it's like these guys aren't, you used to see like you see Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Vince Carter, even in like the 2010s, you got some like kind of high level guys doing the dunk contest. You don't really see it now anymore, and because I think there's a few things, like I said, you don't want to get hurt, and the incentives don't really, I don't know if it makes sense to do it, but as a fan, I would love to see, like Anthony Edwards or John Morant do something.
The NBA, if they want people to care about this stuff, like the players, if your problem is the players don't care, the fans are going to care, right? So make the players care and say, okay, whoever wins the dunk contest gets 10 mil. And everyone goes, oh shit.
Listen, yeah, they I don't know if they give that much. I would be fully on board. It's not my money, so I don't care.
Or you get, a mil for winning the dunk contest. Your team of, what is there, like five people in basketball? Your team of five,
Mm-hmm.
they get, you get 5 mil to share for winning the All Star or for winning the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I have a few ideas. One idea I definitely think they should do is a one-on-one competition. That's a thing that everyone does. If you play basketball, you're at the rec center. You're gonna play a one-on-one or a 2v2 game. I think one-on-one would be a little bit better in this case, just because you have these like elite scorers, and you just want to see people like break ankles and dunk on people. I don't know. Players might have a little bit of an ego thing there, where they're like, oh, I don't want to lose. I'm gonna, if I lose, they're gonna call me a bum on social media. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you do that. But just that's one thing I've seen thrown around. It's like people are like, oh, we need a one-on-one competition. Honestly, I think they should kind of do it like they have all these skill competitions, dunk competitions. I think it would be better format if they kept all those things, but made it like more of an Olympic kind of, thing where you have like the two teams, or, if you want to do three teams, you can do that like they did this past year, and have them, all these teams have to participate in these competitions, and whoever wins at the end, yeah, gets some like money reward, or something like that. So that forces the players to both participate in the 3-point contest, the dunk contest, the skills competition, and maybe they'll do a game at the end to figure out who's the winner or something. So there's ideas. I think they just need to get these players to like get on board.
Interestingly enough, right now the NHL it teamed up. It's really the national countries. Okay, so it was this past weekend. I think the same weekend, right? That was
Mm-hmm.
the NBA All Star stuff. Is the Four Nations tournament? So it's
Yep.
U.S., Canada, Sweden, and I think Denmark or something. And these four countries, all the hockey players from those four teams are representing their country, and they're like, it's a tournament, and they each played each other, and then there's a final on Thursday between Canada and the U.S. But
Yep.
this is another one of those things where the players could have shown up and gone, we don't care about this. It doesn't mean anything, right? Except you know why hockey players care, and this is maybe why what is missing in basketball is
Mm-hmm.
these guys hate each other.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
the game started between the U.S. and Canada, and there was 3 fights in the first 2 minutes where the dudes are going, "Oh, as soon as the puck dropped for the first second of the game, and one of the guys."
Yeah. I saw the refs too were even surprised at the end. They looked like fans out there. They're like, I can't believe what's going on right now. And I think it's also added turmoil where you got the Canadian fans are booing the national anthem. So I think that just fuels it even more. And like you mentioned, we have the final coming up this week between Canada and United States. So I it's gonna be. I think it's being played in. Yeah, well, I'm curious. So I think it's being played in Boston. So I think there's like a 95% chance when the O Canada starts playing, that's gonna get booed. That's gonna get booed like crazy.
I think it's a hundred
Yeah.
percent chance.
I'm sure there's gonna be some Canadians there too. I feel like there's just gonna be like fist fights in the stands. It's gonna be like, I don't even know. It's gonna be worse than like a NFL game.
Yeah. Well, no, that is the best part. You know, and when you talk about these old tournaments or old competitions with the All Star stuff, and you're like, they used to care more and they used to try. Well, it's because the guys didn't like each other. Like
Yeah.
the East versus West. The reason they wanted to beat the other side is because they did like those other guys. They were like, we have to win because we're better than them, and if we lose, we look bad compared. And you know, if the East and the West cared, and I feel like in all sports, like right now, there's an issue with that. So maybe make it nation. It's harder with basketball. I feel like there's less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's got to be global versus United States. I think.
Europe versus U.S. and then
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking of the top players right now. I think it's pretty evenly balanced for the most part. It would, yeah. Well, you look at the Olympics, and the United States won, but that's because all these other countries are split up. You don't have Victor Wembanyama playing with Nikola Jokic. Like I just can't even imagine a team. Yeah, Luka Doncic. Like I think I can't say for certain that the global team would win just because you don't know what's going to happen on that stage. But I think the players, I know the global players would play hard, but I think the American players would also play hard because it's kind of like a mini Olympics. Like it's even harder than an Olympics, like I said, because all these other teams aren't split up. So I think that's where they have to kind of go. I don't know if that's something Adam Silver wants to do with the NBA, but if you want it to be the most competitive, I think that's the route. You got to go like kind of what we're seeing with the NHL right now.
So one in the MLS, they've done an All Star game in the past. They always used to bring like it would be our MLS All Star team, which is like superstars from each team, right? Versus one European giant, so it'd be like Arsenal or like Barcelona
Mm,
or Real Madrid, and they would be like, we're gonna bring this one European team, and we're gonna play a preseason game against our All Star team at the end of our season. So our guys are all like fit or exhausted, and the other guys are
mm.
like unsharp, and we'd still get crushed every year. But
I love that idea though. That's fun.
in the last couple of years, though, they've started this new thing where it's our all stars against the Mexican League's all stars. So we bring over the
Mm.
Mexican League guys, and they play against ours, and that's kind of fun because they're a little closer in terms of ability and
Mm.
the games, and you're like, okay, I can root for my MLS guys against the Liga MX, which is fun, but it still isn't like something that you can tell all the guys are playing their hearts out for because they just don't care. But
Yeah, yeah.
Well, oh, you said so going back to MLS, the season opener is actually this weekend, right?
oh yeah, thank goodness
Um,
it's
mm.
time. I'm going to the game on Saturday. It's supposed to be a balmy 15 degrees. That's the high for the day, and the game's at 7:30, so it might be like 10. But you can catch me out here. I've got a little prop here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're looking spiffy. I think you gotta the night before you gotta sleep with that on for good luck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, if it wasn't so cold,
Mm.
um, but they're handing out beanies, so I'm excited about that. They've
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing
yeah.
Yeah.
like
That just forces you to drink some more beer to stay warm.
well,
That's a good problem to have.
yeah. Well, it'll be put your beer jacket on before the game. That is definitely a strategy I'll be invoking. Um,
Mm.
dude, it should be a good one. I'm hyped for MLS this year. The crew we've talked about before already is like they sold Cucho, who is the star of the team, and so we haven't brought anybody else in as the replacement. But we have the best manager like in the league. It's well agreed that Nancy is that guy.
Yeah. There's something with I don't know. It's been at least the past few years. There's been something with Ohio teams and having great either managers or coaches. So, like you just mentioned, the MLS manager. The Guardians manager Stephen Vogt. Last year was his first season as a manager in the MLB, and he won Manager of the Year. The Cavs coach Kenny Atkinson, his first year with the team, he's on pace to win Coach of the Year in the NBA. And then, Kevin Stefanski for the Browns has won two Coaches of the Year, but this past year was definitely not a good year from him. But yeah, it's just something weird. I don't think so. He's a weird coach to me. He's there's times where I think he's good, and then there's times where I don't think he's good. I can't really tell if he's actually good or not.
I mean, yeah, he does have two of the best players on his offense in the league.
Right, right. It does help. It does help.
Yeah, so I guess that's what we'll find out with the crew. Is our coach like actually that good, or was he just riding on this guy that was too good for the league? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it should be a fun season.
Mm.
We definitely should beat the Chicago Fire, who's the opener, because they are like the worst team in the league.
Okay, it's good. That's a good start. How I guess last year did you watch crew games on Bally Sports?
No, so the crew, all of the MLS are on Apple. So
Oh, okay, okay. So they're not like the Blue Jackets or like the Cavs or
dude, that's
That's
enraging
good.
right there. The Bally Sports thing. If they're not Bally Sports
Yeah.
anymore, they're
It's FanDuel. It's
FanDuel. Yeah.
FanDuel now. Yeah. It's stupid.
they the Guardians just announced kind of because they're now they used to be Bally Sports, I think. But now they're not FanDuel anymore. They're kind of their own TV network. So they're just kind of providing it. And I think it's like $100 for the whole year or for the whole season to watch all the games, which honestly isn't that terrible when I think of it.
60 games, right? So
yeah, so you're paying like less than a dollar, to watch a game. So, not. I think it's cheaper than paying for like Bally or FanDuel, but
that MLB, all of their games are the Friday games at least are on Apple or something.
Yep. Yeah, I've watched those.
So I don't know how many days do they play. They play like 5 games a week or something.
yeah, it's something ridiculous. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they do that.
Well, they have like 8 guys in each
It's a crazy
position,
sport.
right?
Yeah, like so like your best player, they're definitely gonna almost play every single day, but it also is not a super physically demanding sport compared to some of the other ones because there's a lot of just like standing around and
Sure, I guess.
yeah. Oh, and the catcher, you got the catcher on his knees. I feel like that's definitely the hardest position because you're always like you're in every single play. Pretty much the whole game unless you get like subbed out for someone else. Pitcher, you're gonna that's also very demanding on your arm, and those guys always got to get surgery. But every other position, I don't know, kind of chill.
What do you think is the hardest position in all of sports?
Ooh, oh man, let's think. So I'd say like MLB. I'd probably say like catcher for MLB. That's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to like get all the best from each one and then try and narrow it down. NBA, I'd probably say point guard. You always got to have the ball and you got to be pretty smart. NFL, probably QB. I don't know. Yeah, I'd say QB. I'd say QB's probably hardest because
Yeah, I kind of
I'm
think
just trying to think of the
maybe
most-
like running back. I don't know, like
I don't know. Like you gotta be. That's the toughest, but I don't know if it's the hardest. That's like the toughest
it's
one.
like the hardest like mentally, but it's like the hardest in your body probably, right? Where like if you aren't built for this thing, you are dying. Like
Yeah, yeah. And the running back life expectancy is not very long, or at least it hasn't been very long the past few years.
career length, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. Not their actual life. Yeah, I should clarify that. The CTE.
There is
Controversy.
no CTE.
Yeah, it's all made up. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I can narrow it down just because they're all so different. But I'm probably not going to pick one from the MLB or from the NBA.
Like hockey goalie is like
Yeah.
because you're like a catcher where you're on you're like kneeling down, but you're on skates, and also the ball isn't going to your hand; the puck is going everywhere, and you have to like have instincts, and it's hitting you.
Yeah, your reflexes have to be top tier. Yeah. I could see goalie. I'd say goalie. Goalie's pretty impressive. Yeah, I always see like those like training drills they do, and it's just like I don't know how the hell you're how you're able to react that fast.
Fight too, so
Yeah, goalie